back in the count. The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Brick Something channel. I am joined today by Kyle Wlodyga of Super7 and the Enablers. What's going on, Kyle?
Not much, man. Excited to be here. Excited to finally talk to you. But I do have to correct you. Unfortunately,
I mispronounced it.
The L is silent, so it's Wlodyga.
It's the W I should have shot for. See, I ditched the W and went for the
L. Everybody gets thrown off. Everybody drops the W, but it's the secret ingredient, man. So,
got it. So it's
okay. I've heard so much worse.
Wlodyga.
Yes. So don't even sweat it. At least you're trying.
All good. What's the origin? Is it? Do you
Poland,
know from what part of the world it is? Polish.
Wlodyga. Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
The more consonants in the last name, the more Polish it gets, for sure.
Oh.
So
all right.
Yeah. Less vowels, more.
No, I appreciate the correction. Yeah.
All good.
What's in the name?
That's right.
What do you call it? And I'm gonna be that substitute teacher from what is it? From Key and Peele. Have you seen that? Yeah. I show that to my students every
well, I
year.
feel like the funny part of that is that he would nail Wlodyga like on the first try, but he messes up like AA Ron, right? So
present. All right.
That's right.
Before we get into it, let's say hello to everybody who's here, and thank you to anybody who says I'm going to spend even 5 minutes watching the Brick Something channel. I appreciate you all.
Yeah.
And we got Nolan, who spent way more than 5 minutes, and I appreciate you for it, Nolan. We got this guy who's like with his Slatanic.
That's
hi, God. What's up, Thanos? Good to see you, and congratulations on the 1 year anniversary again of YouTube. Go check out Thanos. Go subscribe. I'll warn you, if you're the faint of heart, go check it out. It'll strengthen your heart. Jace, hello, Jace. Allison Troy, the retro toy princess. We call him a summer child. KJ is here. Hello, KJ. Red XO Mac Red 5. How are you? JMac77. Hello. Art G is here. Hello, Art G. He says hello to you as well. Look at that. Gave you 4. I think I did more than 4. Larry's Geeky World is here. We are doing as well as can be expected because it's nice out. You said it was warm over there, but
what temperature
was?
I think it's like 80 right now, which is pretty good, but it's going to be like 92 in like 4 days. So too much.
As I get older, I have to ask that question because that's what my dad taught me. That's what old people do.
Yeah. You can't feel it in your bones.
Not yet. Beautiful 72 in here. Ray Black is here. Hello. Good to see you. Jeff White. Hello. He needs a gorilla.
He's coming. I think he's either on the water or landed or something. They're on the way. So they're finally coming.
Gorilla on the water or on the way. Joe Gonzalez is here. Hello. Always awesome to see Joe. And let's go ahead and move on. Hi and welcome. Here, I got to put this in here. I want you to leave that up there. That's totally directed at you.
There's quite a few licenses that if I had $1 for every time I heard them, I wouldn't have to do these podcasts anymore. It'd be great. No, I'm just kidding.
And if you got $1 for every time Thanos has said it, he'd be quite poor.
He'd be poor. I'd be rich. Is that
all right?
You have to give me $1.
I'll buy Black Star for $1. Okay, so what do we do here? We talk dorky things because I'm a big dork and I love to meet all sorts of people and just say, hey, come through and hang out for like an hour and a half with me and just talk about the Needless Ephemera We Saw, which is a very uber Filipino acronym for like for no reason, acronyms for no reasons. Basically, I do kind of do newsy stuff, but some of the stuff is just like, hey, did you see this? So
sure.
For those watching, especially on the replay, there's going to be a URL down sort of there, bit.ly/Brick Something News, capital B, capital S, capital News, because it's kind of BS news. And then there is a URL over under Wlodyga in that awesome metallic font. Right there. Look at that. Perfect.
There you go.
Love it. So let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, you mentioned that you just picked something up that's sort of perfectly needless and ephemera.
Yeah, I was going to ask, can you just define ephemera for me, just so I'm on the same
random
page?
Garbage. Just random garbage. You know, like random stuff, random information, trivia, maybe.
Okay, all right. I mean, I usually get some stuff. So I was out today with my lady, and it's September 1st, the start of meteorological fall. So things are starting to get cooler and spookier a little bit. So we went to Target and got nothing, and then we went to Michael's, and all of their Halloween stuff is out. There's like those like Christmas Village things.
Oh yeah.
That haven't. So the people are trying to do it for Halloween too, which is pretty great. And so for $3, they had a pile of skulls.
Oh, sweet.
That I'm pretty sure is like in 1/6 or 1/12 scale. Like, here's we'll do thematically appropriate Bane and then pile of skulls.
Oh yeah, no, those are great.
I think this totally works. So I think these will be
cool.
some of my set decoration for Brutal Realm.
Nice. So yeah, you and I have been talking Brutal Realm. So yeah, we'll get to look at that. As far as I go, I was telling you. I don't really so I've gotten quite a bit. A couple of weeks ago, a mule from Japan brought me back a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
So me and the family and I went to Japan, and I got a bunch of stuff, and then there were some other things like, oh man, I want to get these. Someone I know who's there, I was like, hey, can I just have some stuff shipped to your hotel? Brought them back. A bunch of model kits, like some Ultraman model kits, and I actually built one.
Nice.
Started yesterday and finished about 2.5 hours ago ish.
Cool.
And these things are wild. Here.
Yeah. Looks fun.
It's my first model kit ever, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Like these don't count. Those are cheater models. Yeah. Lego don't count. Oh, of course I don't have anything. Come on, give me something. Oh, here. Savage Crucible sword will help me push this little tiny button.
Good choice. That's the only Savage Crucible piece I have right now too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Come on.
That's cool.
And these things are wildly posable. Like if you are it's really super educational actually in terms of figure construction and
engineering and all that.
Yeah. It's wild. Really cool. Oops, I'm totally.
Do all the parts come on sprues too?
Yeah, they totally do.
Nice. There's a little bit of you learn a little bit of molding there too. That's cool.
Yes, that's right. So I got my ordered some cheap little model kit from Amazon, got like snips and just went to town. It was fun. Super fun.
That's right.
Okay, so now he's resenting. You know what? I wasn't trying to out you, but yes, it might have been this person who brought those back. I don't know how much you want to out yourself, sir, with your name, so I'm gonna not say anything.
Yeah, pretty sure usually mules are silent, but that's okay.
It was the drugs that was inside the models. That was crazy. Yeah.
Gotta pay the hobby somehow.
Yeah. Anyway, that was super fun. That's cool. Is that part of your route, like Target, Michael's? Is that?
We got a couple of those here. We have kind of two Targets around us. The Target that I go to normally that's closest to me almost never restocks ever, or if they do, there's enough people in the hobby or people scalping in the hobby that I never see anything new. But today was actually awesome. They had a whole lot of new stuff. They had like all of the Archie comic NECA stuff, so like the Mondo Gecko, the Leatherhead, the robot or the Bebop Rocksteady 2-pack, like, and there's almost something to it, like, you know, it's for whatever it is with like just NECA stuff. It's like, oh man, it's here. I should just get it, because it's like it's so rare, and you're always like, you know, think about like how Holothon has like trained us to just like grab it and go,
right.
whether or not you need it. Like the Mondo Gecko one is the one I'm very interested in because of the guitar. I've started kind of like a guitar or musician shelf with stuff that I made and some other people. But and the other thing I saw was they had the Turtles and Transformers collab, the like party wagon Transformer thing.
I didn't realize at Target.
Yeah, at Target.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a retail thing. Okay,
me either. And so I saw that and I was like, oh man, like this is also really cool. I decided against it, and then, you know, $6 later, I'm happy with my pile of skulls. And it's, you know, it's not like I'm want for stuff. I have a whole pile of stuff that I'll open on Enablers next week.
Sure.
And like this week, another thing I got was this 112.
I was just gonna say, I've been staring at that thing, and then you mentioned you had you pointed in the other direction for your musician shelf, and I was like, what? But like, what's up with
this?
Papa Emeritus over there?
It's supposed to be, the details are supposed to be organized by like Marvel, Power Rangers, you know, miscellaneous, and then DC. But then this has sort of just become like everything is up here. Like there's Doomslayer from Mondo, and then this is a Trick or Treat Papa Emeritus, which pretty stoked on. So it's more just like a landing zone right now.
Okay. And it's bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's 1/12. The hat makes him look really, or it's 1/6. Sorry, it's a 1/6, and the hat makes him look really tall. But like you take the hat off, and he's shorter than Captain America. So like it's in scale ish, but it's definitely like just kind of like one of those generic bodies underneath, and then they just put all the money into the soft goods and like the hat and his little staff and stuff. So yeah, it's fun.
So you mentioned at some point, we don't going to look at it now, but you mentioned your music shelf. But I know you're really into music, you know. But you also you and Super7 are making some of the, I think some of the best sort of music selection, music figs out there. I had a buddy of mine who's an MC. We pre-recorded an episode of this, and we were like, there was a segment where we're just like, all right, what music figs do you want?
Yeah.
And since you brought up music, I am actually kind of curious, like, how do you all decide which musicians to go after? Is it like people in the office who like fans of stuff? Is it because you happen to have some insight that they're down to do licensed figures, or how do they go about choosing who they're going to make?
It's a little bit of both. It is mostly about like, oh, you know, somebody in the office is a big fan and thinks there's an opportunity here. Talk to our licensing people. We talk to Flynn. Like, there's a guy named Brian Liu who was like employee number 3 at Super7, who is like a legend in the Bay Area thrash metal scene. Like he wrote this book called Murder in the Front Row. He like went to high school with Metallica. Like he's been like photographing them since they were like children.
Oh wow.
And he is really connected with that world, and he's a big fan of it, and so like I am too. And so like he's the reason that we started doing metal stuff. But then like I came in and I was like just seconding everything that he said, and so that's why we've been doing a lot of metal stuff, and it's ultimately selling well, and that's part of it. So I think, you know, at least to like get the first figure going in like a genre like metal or hip hop or whatever, like you have to have an advocate, you have to have a voice inside that talks to Flynn and, you know, analyzes the opportunity and like advocates for it and pitches for it. And then once it works, it's like, okay, cool, what other hip hop artists can we do? What other like metal musicians, what other punk guys can we do? So
yeah, got it. And Flynn's no stranger to music. I mean, I remember, so I moved here to the Bay Area in 1998, and pretty quickly they opened up shop in Japantown originally, and I would go in there.
Right?
Yeah, and then they'd have art shows between there, and I don't know if it was at I met him at a gallery there, or there's another gallery here in Fabricate. Like, there's been a couple different times. But I just remember, like him with like a punk shirt or something, and we talk about kind of like, oh, this local hardcore band or whatever. So I know he's got his interests in that as well. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to hear that you all kind of like, hey, I'm into this. Let's do this.
Yeah, and then we have like we have meetings where we can like pitch ideas that we like, and sometimes that gets made, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
I think I'm batting like. I think I did like my batting average. I think it's like something like 215 or whatever. I'm like,
sorry, you're gonna have to translate that for me. I don't understand. I don't understand
Basically,
sports.
it's like a certain amount of like, it's something like 60% of things that I have like suggested become real, but it also helps if like they're on the same page too. So
nice. Thanks for the assist. Hey, answer back sports reference. Yeah,
you're good.
I learned that one time back in the day when I was playing. I think it was like RBI baseball or something in NES, and I kind of had someone help me understand what batting averages was.
Yeah, I don't want it to be misunderstood. I don't understand batting averages. I knew that I was not batting 1,000 because that's like perfect. I know that much, so I just made something up. So I'm not really a sports dude. I'm a hockey fan because I'm from Detroit, but that's it. So.
All right. Now you've really confused me by saying 1,000, I'm assuming is like 100%, and then 200 something is like 60%. Anyway,
I told you I made it up. I don't know. Somebody else out there is just typing furiously. That's not how percentages work and blah blah.
So. Fair enough. Okay, here, let me go ahead and out my mule, to be clear, and there were no drugs involved. Please, Disney, don't be mad at him. Is my brother. So thank you, Ted, for bringing back my models. And yeah, he was like, this is way more than I thought you were going to get. And yeah, so thank you to him and for being willing to buy another piece of luggage. Okay. Hey, before we get started, like, here's Jorge already. He's got questions. Let's just go ahead and ask if you have any updates. Any updates on the Cat Slayer box art?
It exists. I don't know if we're gonna show it or reveal it or whatever, but I've seen it. It's rad. It's fun.
Okay.
So
very cool.
It's probably not what you're looking for, but
yeah, I like that. Okay. And this just, people love the punk reactions. I do too. I love those. I love the skater ones.
Cool.
I love, and I think it was either it was one of the Discords that we're both on where I threw out there. I was like, hey, in general, is it like reactions first and then based on the reaction, explore ultimates? And you generally said, yeah,
more or less.
Speaking, that's a thing. Okay. Yeah. Well,
go
buy Devo. Please go folks, go buy the Joe Strummer reaction. And so I can get those guys to hang out. I
saw Alice and Troy was listing off a lot of rock and roll female kind of ideas, which I'd be super into. And Allison, you're always supportive whenever I'm on here or YHF or whoever. So shout out to you. If you like, like Joan Jett and all those characters that we were talking about. Why am I saying characters? They're people.
They're people.
What I would say is you will really like Castle Rat, Allison. So check them out. They're like a fantasy doom metal band out of Brooklyn, New York that are super, super cool. And they're touring in fall.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah. When the Carlisle Leader Ford would be sick.
Yeah. They've got the list. Yeah. And here's a question for you. Have you guys thought about doing instruments as accessory packs or like a general stage dial to
I think about
accompany your figures?
I think about it all the time because that's really what I want. I really want to do we used to do these like blog interview things kind of with employees a long time ago. And when the Papa Emeritus 3 came out, the Ultimate, they interviewed me because of my a connection to Ghost and my Ultimate fandom. And in that interview I had said I wanted to do like a year 0 box set, which is like all the ghouls, all the Papa. Do you remember those like McFarlane Kiss and Metallica things that had like the stages and the lights and the whole drum kits and stuff? Like I want to do something like that but for Ghost. But we can, it'd be cool to just like have a generic one because like there's all these people who play with their figures and doing different things, and like I think it would be really rad, like especially because I personally am having a really hard time finding a drum kit that fits our scale or even like reaction scale. So
there's stuff in Japan, but yeah, to get it like that the right scale. Can you imagine doing like sponsorships with like you're getting licensed stuff as well?
it gets a little bit harder to do stuff like that.
That's true. So, it is an extra layer of garbage.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for stopping in. There's a bunch of folks. I'm gonna try and jump in and bring those in, but we want to talk ephemera. So let's go ahead and move through the scene, the stuff that we had seen, whatever. Haven't taught English in a while. Fun fact, I've got an English credential and a history credential.
Nice.
And an art credential and a health credential.
Whoa.
Job security.
Yeah. You need 2 more for an infinity gauntlet.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's the most useless infinity gauntlet in the world.
No, man.
All right.
Pretty useful. You're helping humanity with that gauntlet, not the opposite.
Yes. So you and I, like we said, have both been sort of following the Brutal Realm thing, and it closed out last week, and it had the wildest trajectory. It was like not
craziest
even kind
momentum
of
I've ever seen.
Yeah. And sort of like towards the end, it was like a
yeah.
And lots of hypothesizing as to why. And having spoken with James and Jason, they confirmed that, like, yeah, it does seem like there was strong interest in some of the stuff that
characters.
the later characters that were still locked. And so the number one, as of, I think we spoke on Friday, that was 2 days ago, was Athena.
Yeah.
That is so far the number one character. And then Chief Mato, I think, was like a close either second or third.
Really cool. Yeah.
Killian was another one, and he wasn't even like added as an offering until later. Oh, you don't want to see
just kind of
like I mean, whatever.
You go to campaign,
it's a lot of
it'll
money.
show you. Yeah.
Yeah, look, a lot of money.
I think I spend a little bit more than that. So I'm
here. It's real bad, and I'll just share it. Where is it? Oh, it's not up here. So I spent almost twice that. But it was one of those things. It's like a brand new company. They're doing something really cool and special to me in terms of like the types of character selection.
Yeah.
And it sort of slots in with my whole like sword and sorcery thing. And so I don't usually like go for the like really huge kind of what my wife refers to as overbloated sausage body type.
Sure.
But but I was like, oh no, these are really cool, and the way they move is great. So we don't need, it's technically the campaign is over, so I'm not necessarily going to go through all of them, but just to point out, like, I think from a toy collector, toy observer standpoint, it was interesting to sort of see how you structure the campaign and how you talk to people about it and all those kinds of things, how the impact that ends up having, right?
And more importantly, the impact of getting like a big bad toy store involved.
Yes.
I don't think that
100%.
they crossed the finish line without them.
Yeah, no, definitely like instrumental and necessary, as we saw. Like, it gave it that huge bump. And so Brian Brink, good to see you.
What's up, man?
I don't believe like did a chart for it, but
I texted Jay and I was like, where's the Brian Brink chart for this? I need to understand what's happening.
Yeah, and it's wild, but there are other again, not trying to steal your thunder, Brian, but hey, you didn't do it, so that's what you get. If folks go to I mean, he technically could. If you go to KickTraq, KickTraq, they will.
That's cool.
Yeah, there is a thing that exists, and it's sort of like more automatic, not nearly as refined as Brian's.
And,
and Brian,
look at that plateau.
Yeah, it's just
crazy.
This is definitely.
So what that's on August 21st is when, or the 22nd is when the big bad orders starts coming in. Yeah.
And then everything from there, once, okay, well, now we're unlocking, and then another spike once Athena. And
yeah. Well, it also, I think it's indicative of like people's reservation to back until it's funded. Like they're like, I have quite a few friends who have done Kickstarters and very successfully. And they, almost all of them tell me, like, if you don't back within 48 hours, like, you're probably not going to make it, or it's going to be a struggle the entire time. Which, is a unique perspective to them, and it's different for everybody. But like seeing that, like, as soon as it crossed the threshold, then it's just like almost an exponential like bump up. Like, I think there's something to that.
It is. It's a little bit frustrating when, like, one, you don't have to pay until it's over. So it's like there's actually all this incentive to just do early so that we can get there earlier and get to that point. It's an awkward.
But I get it at the same time. Remember what the name of the show is. These are luxury goods.
What's that? The needless part? Yeah.
Yeah. No one actually needs these, but this is stuff we want, which is great.
True.
And we're lucky to have the luxury of the ability to afford things that we want to have, rather, so it's there's a whole thing to that too.
Stop with your wisdom. No, it's totally true. But we don't need them, but if you want to be happy, okay. So let's just, what is new is that they did unlock not only Athena and everything else after, but then there was this, it didn't go silent, but it didn't, it wasn't as loud because I think they didn't have the renders and everything. I think right now they're using like temp, like, the body without the heads for the 3 women barbarians. And so James sent this yesterday or today, sharing the new sculpts. And so the head sculpts they've shown her. This is the one from the Americas. But this is a little bit more work's been done on it, and I think she's looking really great. And then there's another head, so I'll just quickly cycle through these and share what he sent over. Here's sort of the kind of like aggressive aggro face,
looking fierce.
And I like it. And it's always a funny thing, and I know Super7 has heard this before. People see this and they recognize it's a 3D render, right?
Sure.
And so what will it actually look like? So take that for what it is. However, when I look at the prototype sculpts on like Chroman, oh no, those are renders as well. But if you zoom in on the gray prototypes as well,
that detail's there for sure.
Yeah, the fidelity is really good. And so here she is.
Well, I think there's obviously like there's a bit of a stigma against like renders and stuff, which I get, but that's part of some of the process that these companies have, because it's worked for them. But I think with Kickstarter and like this, what you're getting is sort of unprecedented access to the process of developing the toys.
Yes.
Which you only really get from indie developers, which is really exciting. So,
and
I don't know about you, but seeing this is like kind of the stuff that I look at every day when I'm working on figures. And so it's like, this is it's familiar to me, but it's new for a lot of people. It's definitely like a look behind the scenes, behind the curtain, which is exciting because it's the nature of Kickstarter means that this happens only with the help of fans like us. So obviously it benefits them to share in this process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm that person who bought DVDs because of the extras, who looked to see if there was a behind the scenes kind of thing. And I love that kind of stuff. So thanks to the Brutal Realm Toys guys for sending these over. And I think there's been a lot of commentary too, because like towards the end they were scrambling and they threw some AI images of
what a good problem to have, I guess, is like we don't have the images,
right?
So,
but they ended up doing some AI images for the beasties and stuff.
I saw that and I was like, oh man, that monkey looks rad. And then I saw the thing in the corner. I was like, I hope it looks that cool. So I think I did get the wolf and the panther though, because I thought those were really cool ideas.
Yeah, so it's just a question, like, are they going to chase the look of the AI or, and actually use that general look as their design? I don't know, but
we'll see. But my advice would be to pay your designer to make it look like it belongs in the Brutal Realm rather than following the AI image. So
yeah, agreed. So let's see. Oh, there's more stuff for Justin. Hey, Justin, good to see you. They just want you to know, and I know needless ephemera sometimes means needless tangents, but sure. We need a deluxe TMNT also. So that's actually something I wasn't thinking of talking about, but we can go there as well. Actually, here, let's finish up the Brutal Realm, Justin. My bad. I shouldn't have even brought it up if I wasn't gonna talk more about it. But this is what they showed, and then I just showed you what they sent us, and they did in fact unlock their kind of like their tribute to some dude with red hair.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Yeah. So that is cool. And then, of course, folks, you can go to BBTS and continue to order there. And I think they're doing this sort of newer thing that Kickstarter does where you can still order through Kickstarter after the thing has ended. And there will be a backer kit. And in backer kit, if you all have access because you have backed it, you can make all sorts of changes. You can say, you know what, I don't really want that figure. Give me this figure instead. You can't lessen your pledge, but you can swap things in and out. And so that includes if you're like a person who got a package and you're like, oh, all 7 figures or whatever it is. And maybe you don't want all 7, but you want 3 repeats and whatever, you can totally do that and just sort of swap out equal value figures. So just to throw that out there, those are all options, and they have said that. Oh, never mind. I was about to say they have said that things will continue to unlock, but there's nothing else to unlock. So congratulations, everybody!
Already. Yeah,
we did that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm excited. I'm really into these, and I'm glad that Realm Toys exists and they're doing their thing. So now we can talk about this place.
Sure.
I know there's a couple of new things and there are a couple of things that I was looking at, but while we're here, before we do that, let's address what Justin's saying. I've heard about this too, this idea of a deluxe thing. We want, could you explain to us kind of like what that's about and what that might mean moving forward?
Well, I mean, we released the first 2 this week with more music figures like we were talking about with Biggie and ODB, and that's really just about getting more eyes to see some of our music figures, a little bit lower price point, less accessories, but still that same figure that you have. So I mean, if you have an ultimate, you don't ultimately really need a deluxe one.
I see what you did there.
But for the people who missed ODB, which there's a lot, we every week we share the growth metrics for our social media, and it's a lot. It grows like crazy. So I mean, the people who have been supporting us, for 2 or 3 years, are the customers we have now are not necessarily the same that we had back then too. Like those guys are still there. I hope we retain customers, but more and more people are seeing us who think Super7 is brand new, and so they're like, oh man, they make an ODB figure, like I can't believe I missed it. Well, it's like, well, here's another chance to get it. Same with Biggie. And there's some other stuff working in the works as well. Like we had mentioned, those Power Rangers that are on Pulse right now, which we'll probably talk about a little bit later. But yeah, that's sort of what's going on here with these guys.
Okay, so this is the moniker. So there's the ultimates. I mean, technically these are still ultimates, but deluxe ultimates or something. I don't know how you guys are referring.
I would call these deluxe. I wouldn't,
its own unique thing.
Yeah, if you understand mold reuse, then you know that they are more or less ultimates, but this is a deluxe figure with a whole new packaging. Obviously, there's like the J-hook and blister and all that stuff. So, Yeah.
And so it's the same figure, but you'll notice if you're familiar with it, that's a lot less things. All of you who whine about Super 7 has too many hands. Well, Merry
Yeah.
freaking Christmas. You can get it without the hands. You can save yourself
20 bucks.
$20. And there you go. And then when you're wondering how you can get him to do some other things, you can imagine my other hand in there. And but no, that's cool. So you said music initially, and then you pointed out the Hasbro Pulse. I should bring that up. I completely forgot that that's where they're at. So as far as the venue for these, where can folks expect to find these? Obviously, like Power Rangers makes sense because of the partnership with Hasbro.
Pulse,
but
obviously these guys are on our web store. I think the Wu-Tang or the ODB like estate will have some of these. And we're currently in talks and working with some retail partners into having them into like mass market too. So
okay, got it. Fair enough. So it's something that you're looking to just have out there as maybe wide, potentially.
Yeah, a little bit more wide distribution than Ultimates, because Ultimates can be difficult for some retailers because there's you can't put them on a peg. They're a box. You got to put them on a shelf, and that shelf space is allocated differently than peg space and blah 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 blah. And there's a whole world of retailing and merchandising that I don't really know about, so I don't 100% want to like guide you down the wrong path, because like I just make sure that the figures look good and function well.
So these are again 100% the same as the Ultimates releases, just with less accessories,
but with new paint jobs, so metallic. And then they have the coin on their chest, just like the vintage toy, and the red dot morphers. They come with all of their toyetic weapons, and then they have brand new packaging, which is inspired by the vintage toys from Bandai. I think the only one that technically is new-ish sculpt is Green Ranger. Has if you go back to Green Ranger, he doesn't have the arm, like the bands on his boots like he used to. He's got the what we call the toy arms and legs, because that's exactly what that Bandai toy looked like.
The simplified, box. So is this 3/4 view? Is that what I'm looking at?
No, it's a triangle box.
Oh, got it.
Just like the old Bandai ones.
Okay. Oh yeah, got it. And that was I'm old, Kyle. So but I remember Super Sentai being in these magazines that I would see in Japantown in LA, and just been fascinated by that whole world.
Yeah. So you're more familiar with Jew Ranger than Power Rangers.
Yeah. And the whole concept of like the whole tokusatsu thing, and people in suits and different colors and clubs and spades and hearts, the whole nine. So interesting. Okay. Well, there you go. $35 cheaper, less of the accessories. But what's really important to me, and what that in terms of what I heard you say, is that like your audience isn't static, your customer base isn't static, and that there are people, and I think other folks who've been around need to hear this, who are discovering Super 7.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about. We've been around for almost 25 years, and there's still people who don't even know who we are, or that we make toys, or that we have music or anything like that. So
which is a great thing, I think, because that's it's especially, I think about the music thing, and that's when my buddy Joel and I were talking about. It's like there are people who don't collect toys, but they'll hear, wait, I can get an ODB something or a Cliff Burton something, and they're like, wow, that's cool.
Exactly.
Let me grab that. Yeah. That's cool, because that's how I knew Super 7 too. Like it was like, oh yeah, it's a magazine, and they talk about Sofubi and a lot of cool stuff. But you go into the store, and they actually produce their own Star Wars flocked wallpaper. I remember that when that came out.
Oh man, whoa, old school. Back when we had the apparel license too for Star Wars. Long time ago.
Anyway, okay, let's talk newer stuff that's on pre-order for Super 7. This thing, I don't own a single Super Cyborg. They're like their own unique thing. But I do have one-off like items, and I'm kind of intrigued by this one in particular. I'll be honest, the price not so much, but that's not unique to Super 7. That's because I spent too much on Brutal Realm. But These things are cool. They're total throwbacks to like toys from when I was a little kid, like way before me, actually.
Mm-hmm.
This was the kind of stuff you'd see in the hobby shop.
Yeah.
Where you'd get to see, oh, look at the cool insides. But so this is a newer one, and there has been a Creature of the Black Lagoon Super Cyborg before.
There has, there was a full
Yeah.
color one. So this is a recolor. But it's definitely a little bit more inspired by like those kind of old model kits that you had talked about, like the Aurora model kits and whatnot.
Yep.
So Super Cyborg as a line in general was inspired by Henshin Cyborg, which I'm sure you're a little bit at least passingly familiar with.
No, 100%. I love Micronauts, and I've like loved the lineage of the line. But yes.
Yeah. So I mean, we have a lot of characters in this sort of format, which is super fun. I mean, there's a Mecha Godzilla, there's Megazord and a Dragon Zord, Optimus Prime, Megatron, Soundwave, Bumblebee, lots of fun characters like that. And I think we did a couple GI Joe ones too. Sorry, I'm like looking around for which ones I have. But yeah, so I mean, it's just fun to see the inside of stuff, like see its gross guts or whatever. So
yeah. I mean, it's one thing to be like, oh, it's a creature, but like, hey, look at the Dayglow guts inside, and it's so cool.
It's pretty, and the little fish getting
exactly these details in there. I love it. Like little fish in there getting digested. Really cool. But yes, and definitely in that tradition of the Henshin Cyborg.
So cool. Most of them you can take the chest off. Some of them, as we develop the line more, you can take more and more parts off. Like so. Creature, you can take his face and his right hand off, and that's a reference to the fossil that they find in the movie of his hand.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
But then like Mechagodzilla, you can take off like every panel. The Voltron that's up on Amazon right now, you can take off. It's basically you have to tool like 3 figures because it's a front, an inside, and a back, and then you put it all together. It's crazy. It's like I don't know. It's probably bad, and they're not gonna like that I said. It's to me, it's like borderline too much, but it's think of all that value too, right? You can see every single part and all that stuff. So
hence the price. No, it's totally like I understand where that price is coming from for sure. I'm curious from like because you have to be the first to like draw the creature's insides. Do you have any idea what that process is like in negotiating with the licensors? Or they're like, because technically they've never shown that, like you're essentially inventing or I guess
some
do they care?
Are cooler with it than others. I will clarify that I did not work on this one.
Right.
This was done by a very talented designer named Mondo, who has since moved on from Super7, but he's a really talented dude. You can check him out on Instagram. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely stuff that we've done where we've invented things, and usually it sort of depends on the licensor, but most of the time they're pretty cool because they understand like this is what the format is, and they know kind of going into it. It's like, we're going to do a Super Cyborg. We're going to do this. This is what it is. And they're like, okay, yeah. And usually it's once they see it, they're usually pretty sold. There's definitely a lot of like fun and invention because it's, I like this line specifically because most of the time you don't get to see the insides of anything. Like, invent what the inner workings of the Dragon Zord looks like. It's like, oh, crazy. Okay,
let's go.
Sure. Yeah, let's do it. I'll put Tommy in the cockpit and this and that, and we all know what Optimus Prime's chest looks like from here, but what does the rest of it look like?
Right.
Or Optimus or Megatron or Soundwave. He's got the tape cassette, but then like, do you put gears and stuff and all that? And so there's a lot of fun and like invention to it, which is super fun.
I think I might have to do some subbing on my prep period to pay for something like this. We'll see. I think it's just cool. Like cool as an object, have other figures stand around and pray to it or something. I don't know.
Sure. I mean, think about it this way. You can make it like a Halloween decoration. That's when I am like trying to get something that's usually like, I was like, oh, but I'll make it a Halloween decoration. And then
yeah. Probably looks great under a black light, says Ray via Noel.
Yeah, probably. The black light will fill the clear parts and basically make all of that like sort of purpley blue, and then the painted parts will shine accordingly, which is pretty fun.
Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and tag some of the questions, like the the general questions folks have for you, and we'll kind of do that maybe in the end too. But
I'll do my best.
Folks are saying hype for these Rangers.
Of course, thanks, John.
And so Oh, and there was a question earlier about the metallic Rangers. Are they like Silverhawks? They're not vac plated. They're just metallic
they're
paint,
not
right?
vac. They're super. They are super metallic, though.
Yeah,
they're very bright and shiny, which is good. I have some back here, but I'm not sure I can show them yet. So we had them. If you are curious about what they look like, we had them on display at San Diego Comic-Con. So if you Google Super7 Metallic Rangers Comic-Con, there's probably photos. You can see what that looks like. Oh, what's
nice.
up?
Your BF is here.
Yep.
BF, BFF, a little bit of both. Depending on the time. That's all right.
I don't kiss and tell. How's that?
Yeah, I was like, it's complicated. Here's a legit question. Given the hands, can he not hold his mic?
I didn't work on that one, so I'm not 100% sure. I would guess that he can. So
okay, but see, that's why you need the hands, people. Okay, here we go. I want to talk about this because this was famously in Sesame Street history. There was an episode that they aired once and then stopped airing, and that was when Mr. Hooper passed away, and they had to explain it. I think it's actually before I was born, so I didn't truly have childhood trauma about it. But yeah, they helped sort of kids work through the grief by like naming that, hey, Mr. Hooper did pass away, and there was this whole episode, and they never showed that episode again because parents were caught unaware and didn't know how to handle it. Yeah, but you guys are making Mr. Hooper.
We are, yeah. So Flynn was very much one of those kids who was totally traumatized by Mr. Hooper. So I think that's where this comes from. These were designed and done by a very talented designer named Nomi, who does most of the reaction stuff, and she crushes it on all the Sesame Street.
Oh, they're beautiful. Please
shout out to Nomi.
Fantastic. Shout out to Nomi.
Keeps all that stuff going. And I think was it John Desari fan in here? What got all the Sesame Street blind boxes and was super stoked that he got the Cookie Monster with the cookies in his stomach or whatever. That was like Nomi's like big pitch of the year. Was like, no, we're gonna put cookies in there. Trust me, it's gonna be great.
Oops. So, oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Look at that. Even with the Dio on the stoop.
Yeah. Johnny crushes it. If anybody's familiar, Sergeant Bananas on Instagram is our staff photographer, and so he obviously has a lot of access to a lot of dioramas and stuff, and he really elevates the product with his photography.
So these are great. The reactions are great. I don't know what you don't even have to comment on it, but I'll just say, depending on how the reactions sell, what I'll say, you can comment in or not, but like we were talking about the music ones. If the reactions sell, then they consider the ultimates. I don't know
if that's within our rights in our category.
Exactly.
However, I do think that at Comic-Con, NECA announced that they're doing 7-inch scale.
Got it. So that would compete.
Street. So that might be not a thing for us. I'm not 100% sure what that deal looks like.
Because it's not like NECA and Super 7 could do the same property on 7-inch scale ever. Wait, sorry.
Usually it's one person gets it. So
yeah, I know. Sorry, that always tripped me out. Mr. Hooper looks great though, and I love the translation to this kind of like this reaction size. And
now he can fit in your Star Wars cantina.
Yes, and I think Big Bird's bringing an extra cup too, just in case you don't have enough. Yeah. Super Grover, I love these, man. These are fantastic. Just waiting for someone to pick up that electric company so we can oddly get another Spider-Man. Let's see. And then I think I move on from there. But what did you want to show of the newest pre-orders? You mentioned the stuff from Power Rangers Deluxe. Is there anything more?
Lord Drakon. Ultimates. More Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So this I'll try and clarify it as it's been explained to me. This is technically a pre-sale, not a pre-order.
Okay.
And what that means is that we've already gone and made him, and we're just trying to see how many people want to get him ahead of time. So he's been tooled. The pre-production samples have been approved by me and the licensor. Like he's in production right now. So he'll be, if you look at the website, I think he's set for delivery in December, which is a very fast turnaround time for us.
That's
We're
really
trying
fast.
more stuff like this. But yeah,
I'm just curious, is some of what you've just described that you're trying and the unique nature of the pre-sale, is that in response to things that have happened recently, like with like waves being pre-ordered and then not happening? Is that a way to kind of say, like, to communicate, no, this is in fact happening?
Yes.
Yeah, you're nodding. Okay.
Well, especially like with Power Rangers specifically, I know that
yes,
at least
people are
a
scared.
couple times a week I get a message of like, hey, when can I get another chance of like Tiger Sword or Madame Well? And it's like, okay, well, keep voting with your dollar. Like, if you want more Power Rangers, buy a Dracon, buy the Metallic Rangers, that kind of stuff.
Right. See, now it got more expensive, folks. If you just pre-order that, no, I'm just kidding. But these renders,
these are renders.
Yeah, these renders look good though. I really love the design. I guess what I'm trying to say is the design of the head is really cool, and the angry one. This is
it's all new. I think
grim,
the hands and feet and joints are the same, but the whole body is new because he's an adult with attitude, not a teenager with attitude. So you get he's got more muscles. You can see his his quads and his biceps and his delts kind of busting through. So he's a little bit more shredded in this. And then obviously he gets some new, look at all those abs and stuff. And then some new, older, more wizened JDF heads.
Yeah.
As well. Because what's going to sell better than a Green Ranger and a White Ranger? A Green White Ranger or a White Green Ranger. I don't know what you want to call it. Which came first? So
I really like this head. That's a really great looking portrait. So I'm just curious because it sounds like these are on the water, or these are in production and going to be on the water, maybe heading by the end of this year.
Yeah.
Where does this fall in terms of being designed and worked on compared to the turtles with the additional articulation and all that? Like,
he was a little bit before that.
Okay.
Only by like a little bit. So
okay.
I had noticed we had talked about, I think it was either you or somebody else had brought it up in the Discord server, like, why doesn't he have the double? And it's like, well, because
no, that wasn't me.
Yeah, well,
I definitely wouldn't.
It was like
Kyle, I don't take that tone.
No, I know.
Just kidding.
Well, it's just the turtles had come out, and then he was already in development and all this stuff, and so we've started considering more new additional articulation scheme stuff after the success of the turtles and stuff. So he was a little bit before that, so he wasn't considered for those. And besides, additionally, he then now matches all of the other previous Rangers too. It helps keep the line consistent and blah blah blah. There's an argument to be made of like, why not improve it? But we still may. You never know. What I will say though is that you're definitely not going to get an one if you don't buy this one though, which sounds shilly, whatever you want to call it, but like that's how the economy works too. So
you got shilly in here.
Say it, So I'm very excited for this guy. He looks rad in person. What I will say is that my plan, I have not seen it in person yet. I've seen photos. The plan was the Red Ranger battle damage helmet. He can hold it, or you can put it on your existing Red Ranger figure as well if you want a battle damage Red Ranger.
And what's up to you, nerd? Call me a nerd. No, what's up? Good to see you, and Fanigan as well. I'm trying to see if there was any Dracon questions in particular. Desra fan is co-signing. He's a beast. Talk to me about so we talked about the articulation. Moving forward, is that now something you are similar articulation and cuts that moving forward for Ultimates, or is it a case by case basis?
I think it's a case by case thing right now.
Okay.
And Flynn does interviews with a bunch of people, and he usually addresses that kind of stuff. But at least for now, it's something we're thinking about for sure. So,
and on your end, how much does that impact what you do? I as we're talking, I realize, what is sort of like generally your role in the designs of these things? Are you like art directing other folks? Are you hands-on still, or
It's a little bit of everything. So
a little bit
I
everything?
design, or I do concept work for all of Ultimates Deluxe, uh, cyborgs, O-rings, and Shogun figures. Oh, and the vintage figures. So these guys too.
Yeah. Let's talk about those.
So
Got it.
I design all of those, and then get the licensor to approve all those, and then I also work with our in-house sculpt team to make sure that they are following brand guidelines, Super7 design guidelines, and then my vision for what that concept was. And then
Gotcha.
we hand that off to a very talented production team who is here and overseas, and they handle all that stuff. So I used to be much more involved with production stuff. That has changed in recent years. But we have very talented people over there who are making sure that our figures are looking great. It's actually a huge boon to me, because a lot of my time was eaten up by that. And now I can just hand them the design document and be like, make it look like this, and
Right.
they do. So it's worked out so far. It's really great.
And you've been with Super7 for how long now?
Over 5 years. It was
Woo!
February 2019 when I
Okay.
started. So
All right. Well, folks, appreciate your work, for sure. Where was it? I think Quip was shouting out. Man, I'm sorry. I'm this whole thing here. I appreciated this though. Yeah, and that wasn't just the shit. It was this strong work on the new Rangers, Kyle.
Thank you, sir.
So
thank you.
there was a specific question about
Oh,
this
yeah.
character and stuff. Did Super7 have to get JDF's estate to sign off on this, or was it just Hasbro?
That's just through Hasbro.
Got it.
The way I understand it is, you can, if you call them by the character's name, you can just go through Hasbro. If you decide to call them by the actor's name, you have to then work with the actors.
Got it. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, what a weird thing. But yeah, this is how we know you're old, Quip, like me. Thank you. Will his arms be removable? Do you think that's in reference to this? It was right around that time.
Oh, for Drakon? I'm not.
Oh, do arms get removed? I'm not super familiar at all.
Oh, yeah. So we had it so you can pull the arms out. So like you could pull the arms out and then put the dragon shield on Red Ranger and put the
Oh,
arms back in.
gotcha. Okay.
I don't know. I haven't messed with this guy yet. My guess is maybe.
Gotcha.
So,
I thought it was like a story thing, because I'm not familiar at all. I didn't know if like his arms get cut off.
Armor is a separate piece that will be softer, so you can put them up above his head.
Got it. You guys, look at you
There you
all.
go.
Did you hold up when you had said Shogun? Was that a rating that you held up? Is that what that reference is?
Oh, I don't have a Shogun. No, what I held up was the Conan from
gotcha. Okay.
Comic-Con. So
Perfect.
I know what
on
rating
that
is, though.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not that young.
Oh, yeah.
But no, these. So it's these, and I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this. You're working on this, and
Mhm.
I know you have a history with this. Is that something you want to share? Yeah.
A little bit. So I mean, I have worked on the Conan line in Ultimates from the beginning, and then I art directed the Reaction line in Conan as well. And one of the very first things I ever worked on at Super7 5 years ago, when we talked about it, February 2019, was the Misfits Danzig vintage figures. And I've been working on the vintage style stuff for a long time. It's taken us a minute to get it right, but we're very proud of it and we're very excited about it.
And just to be clear, you mentioned earlier, but the vintage is in reference to the 5.5 inch squat.
These guys, yeah, the
Motu-esque
Motu looking dudes, yeah, exactly.
Remco-esque dudes, yes. Okay, go ahead. So that was one of the first things you worked on, was for the Misfits,
for the Misfits one, yeah,
ridiculously cool, Kyle.
Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty fun, and get that on day one of working. Like, all right, maybe I'm in the right spot.
Yeah.
So,
it's
been super cool.
And to see these now coming out is really cool. And I am kind of curious to see how these do you know how these are doing, or do you have a sense? I'm wondering if people are rebuying that already have the Ultimates that are like, yeah, I want in that form too, or
so far so good. I
curiosity.
think the 5.5 stuff really, the Motu inspired stuff really speaks to a certain customer. So yeah, it's been doing well. The Misfit stuff is doing really, really well. I mean, look at that card art.
Yeah, this is gorgeous. Who did these?
Oh, I don't remember his name.
That's
If
fine.
I can remember it, I'll send it to you and you can put it in the description.
Okay.
So
Look at that.
look at the Thulsa Doom.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. I had some friends who actually had a band called Thulsa Doom at one point.
Hell yeah.
Very cool. Love it. So these are great. These are available. So these are, it's a 2-pack for 60. So the singles are roughly
30
30
each. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that I go to the store often up here in San Francisco, but I don't know that I even have
They may
seen
not have
any of
landed
these
there yet.
Okay.
But they'll be getting there soon. There's
Okay.
I know you had mentioned you're a big sorcery guy. There's also a new,
Yes.
I think there's a new wave of Conan reaction.
There are. That's what I wanted. That was what I actually wanted to bring up, was the end scene in their camo.
Yeah, the war paint. There you go.
And again, the Sergeant Bananas photos of this is like pitch perfect. This scene. Dude. These are great. The cards are great. Like,
and
it sends old people.
Another figure for Valeria. She went from having no figures for 40 years to 2 in a year.
Now 3rd.
Yeah.
No, this is the 3rd, right?
Would this be the 3rd?
Because don't you have the one where she's like
the one with the helmet? Okay, name the second one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that there was an Ultimates one, but there isn't yet. You're right.
Nice try. Nice try.
Man. Wishful thinking.
Gotcha journalism over here.
Wishful thinking. Yeah, no, I wasn't actually trying to get you. I'm not that clever, Kyle. But this is rad. He's like borderline the lost member of Kiss. But yes, he's
no, dude. He looks like Anthony Kiedis in there.
Yeah, he does. Like new Kiedis, N.U. New
yeah.
Kiedis, not the Kiedis of my childhood.
Yeah.
But yeah, they look really great, and this whole setup just looks perfect. I love it.
Super fun. I got to get mine. These are great. These were I didn't get to do these, but these were done by a very talented guy named Joe Allard, who is a good friend of mine. I've known him for like 10 years now. Finally got to work with him here at Super7, and he worked on the Conan reaction for us.
Okay.
So
this I know this might fall under a Flynn question, but Mako, do you have any thoughts? Or
I want to make Mako. I think there's a lot of characters in Conan that would be cool to do. Whether or not they would sell is another question, but I think there's a lot of I think there's still a lot more untapped potential in Conan that we could do, specifically just those 2 movies.
Yep. I mean, you barely touched the second movie still. So yeah, I mean, that's why my brain goes to Mako, because to finish off the first movie. But
yeah, totally.
Okay. Anything else from Super 7 that you'd like to?
I mean, there's always something cool at Super 7. I can't think of anything new on the top of my head. If you want to just go to the front page, we can see what's up, what they're showing.
I will say, for me, and the dangerous part of Super 7 is this. Yeah. It's not
Labor Day sale, right?
Well, not just that, but just the apparel. That's the thing. Every time I go, and it's so dangerous. But for my birthday, my kids actually got me a shirt, and I was like, "Oh, cool! What a great pick! You should just do that that way I don't ever have to. Yeah, I don't have to be tempted. Just go into Super 7 and pay.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't. Yeah, if there's nothing, we can move on. There's a lot of cool stuff.
There's a new Matt Cardona.
That's right.
For
I'm not a wrestling guy, so but it is pretty cool. I'm like, okay. And I think the only reason I know his name is through Pixel Dan talking trash. But beyond that,
totally.
Okay, this is real bad. Is he WWE? Like, I really don't know.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
He might be AEW. Again, I'm not super familiar with wrestling.
Great.
Either.
I'm not the only one. So, we can both take that flack. Whatever, wrestling nerds. Okay. Let's move on and talk some other stuff. And this is just this is literally just me going through Instagram and going, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
This is a custom piece that's done by also with some like sort of scratch building kind of thing. And Mr. Mac 96. Just building cool droids. I kept referring to it as an art droid because of like this stuff.
Yeah.
Which really kind of takes me back to like the earliest days of being here in the Bay, the whole like mission school, cartoony art stuff. So anyway, Kilgallen and them, but I love that, like paint on a droid.
Yeah.
Like how cool would that be with all this no home, no vault, no future. So I don't know. Is this, folks can tell me, is it a Fallout thing?
Yeah, okay. It's from Fallout. I can't remember what the name of it's called, but it's like a helper robot. It's supposed to be like, mother's little helper or whatever, like in like the Atomic Family like kitchen and stuff. In the show, one of these is voiced by Matt Berry, which is perfect.
So. I saw, I don't, later towards the end where she encounters it.
Yeah,
got it.
And it's like the doctor who's like, "I'm going to take."
Oh, that's what this is.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch it, but it didn't have the same sort of decade.
No, it's like just silver. So he's really customizing it, which makes
got it.
To me, speaks volumes to the power of a good paint job, because like you couldn't even tell what that was. You've seen this robot before and you had no clue.
Absolutely, and I love like all these things, which makes sense now that it's Fallout because of like the. Let's throw a leather pouch on a droid for reasons.
Yeah.
I love this kind of stuff. And I love that we're in this day and age where two things, I've say this a lot of time, where people can take toys and paint them and or scratch build things and add things and create these things. And that they have the outlet for people like me and others to look at it. And I don't know, it's a cool art form.
Yeah. It's super fun.
Desireff's already thinking about that Anthony Kiedis reference. All right. Nerdy stuff. Do you at all mess around with that kind of like customizing at all?
Sometimes. I'll do, what Legions calls, lazy boy customs, where you just take parts and swap them around and things like that.
I call them Long Beach customs because people refer to them as the LBCs.
Right.
But yes.
Long Beach. That kind of stuff, or I have some stuff that I'll just get custom painted. Like I've done like weathering on like some of the Lightning Collection figures or whatever that never got good enough paint jobs. Like if I'm feeling confident, I'll do like a black wash, but most of the time I'm not. And I know people who are very good at that, and I'll just talk to them and be like, "Hey, will you do this for me?" And be like, "Yeah, sure." So
fair enough. Okay, well, let's move on and take a look at this. So as you can tell, I'm really big into Lego, and there was a time when I would spend Super7 Ultimates figure prices on like one or two, hopefully not one, but have I done that? I might have done that, or two minifigs. And there was this whole like cottage industry of people like making their own stuff and actually buying Lego pieces and printing on them. And then eventually, this is where the funny thing is. They take actual Lego pieces and do their own pad printing. So they'd call them like, no, these are customs, which explains why you should spend so much. And then of course stuff would show up on AliExpress that was like more boot Lego, if there's such a spectrum.
Yeah.
Because they're like making the actual molds and whatever. But this is a company that has been around for a while. These guys are awesome. I'm forgetting his name. I met him at a convention once, because no shade to Lego people, but he was one of the more unique. He was like me. He's like a geek, not just about Lego, but pop culture in general. So stuff like this. He's like, I want to do the thing. I want to do stuff that you wouldn't normally get in Lego, because TLG, the Lego group, has such kind of like a strong control over their brand. So they wouldn't do body horror stuff.
No.
And so Citizen Brick is what it's called, out of Chicago. And they would do, like I have a sort of GIMP character that they did, like, again, stuff that the Lego group wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
But this yesterday was CBD, which was Citizen Brick Day, which they do. It's the 11th annual Citizen Brick Day where they release new figures. And this was one of them from John Carpenter's The Thing, which I don't know. I just think super cool. What I've always enjoyed about Lego is how it's that fine art of it's in their form factors. So like there's a huge level of abstraction and simplification happening, but you still have to communicate the character, right? And personality. And so I'm always intrigued how they're able to do that with like such like an economy of line and shape. So
yeah. Well, there's a
way too
whole.
intellectual,
It's
but
it's an art firm, right?
it
Is
is.
trying to like the more simple, the way you can communicate something with less information,
Yep.
effectively makes you a great designer.
And then these
So
are their own pieces, and even
yeah,
like trying to make new pieces that still could uses the language of it and doesn't sort of cross the line. Like this might be a little crossing the line, but not if you're familiar with a lot of like the Alien pieces. Like you
yeah.
can tell that they pull from Lego's language. So I dig it.
There's a friend of mine who I work with used to do pad printing for these kind of like independent Lego companies, and
Yep.
she's out of
Okay.
Chicago. So I was just
Yeah.
texting her right now. I was like, "Did you used to work here?" Because that would be crazy if it's like the
Yeah,
same
it could
place.
be. It could be. And so they would
Oh
I'm
wow!
pretty sure they had their own pad printing setup because they were one, it's very Chicago, if you know kind of like
Sure, yeah.
Chicago's artsy scene. Like, there's a lot of what's the word? Artisanal Lego making and artisanal everything, t-shirts, art,
hmm
whatever.
hmm
But their thing was not only the minifigs, but they would also do parts like this. So all this
Yeah,
like deco pieces, and then of course, tiles and plates that are printed. So this is dope. You,
it's great.
from Big,
Super cool. Yeah, I love this movie.
so good. And so these were all new things that they were showing for their Citizen Brick
Now
Day,
we're
aka
talking.
CBD. Yep. We've got Wayne's World, or what do they call them? Here, I'll find out. So here is their shop. This was what was
Public
available as
access show.
public access. So that's what they're calling it. And then here's the
Nice.
object.
Yep.
But if you're into like uh off the beaten path
Yeah.
things in Lego form, see, you can't beat Citizen Brick. They do really cool stuff. And
Yeah,
you can
that's
kind of
cool.
see like multi-eyed heads, anime head, like stuff like
Mhm.
this.
Yeah, that's fun.
That obviously that's not quite in Lego's wheelhouse. Or here you go, from
Oh my
maybe
god.
your younger days. I don't know.
No, absolutely not. Like,
Maybe running away from.
we just happen to be from the same place. That's
Okay,
the
fair
only
enough.
thing.
And you can, it amazes me. See, there's the
Yeah,
reppin right there.
that's cool.
But if you're into that kind of stuff, check it out.
Yeah,
If you're not, uh, I just think it's cool that it
it's super
exists.
fun. It's very much in line with the Super 7 motto of "No one made what we wanted, so we made it ourselves."
Exactly. Yep. That's the thing. That's at the core of the Super 7
Yeah,
brand that I wish folks understood a little bit more, but that's okay.
that's all right. All we gotta do
Speaking
is
of
keep saying
creating
it.
things, that others maybe didn't and you
Yeah.
can now get. So Pulgazari, this is Titanic
Mhm.
Creations, and I think this was just like last week or so that these were made available. Um, I mean, at least to me, I don't know if like hardcore folks are like, no, I've known about Pulgazari forever, but
Yeah.
I didn't, I remember seeing old stuff every now and then, but not really clocking, oh, wait, that's from Korea. So there's an old 60s film about this creature based on Korean lore that they've sort of turned into do they use the term kaiju? I've been kind of like jokingly.
They don't, but I think
Yeah,
I don't want to, misinform, but I
sure.
think that there's more to the story than what you're saying here.
Okay, fair
As
enough.
I understood it, or
Please.
as I understand it, this is made not by South Korea, by North Korea, because
Oh,
at the
okay.
time, the president, whatever, the Kim Jong Un or whoever it was at that point, big film fan, loved kaiju movies, loved James Bond, just loved Hollywood and movies in general. So
Ah,
he either, I don't 100% know, but at this, the way it was told to me was homeboy kidnapped the people who made a lot of the Godzilla movies to
oh,
make
no
his own
kidding.
Godzilla movie, and that's what Pulgasari is.
Okay. Well,
Again, I don't know how
I
true
didn't.
any of that is, but that's how it was described to me. So
Okay. And I've been lovingly referring to it as K-Iju.
right.
But I think it's kind of cool to see these, and I imagine that if
Mhm.
you collect like the Ultimates Godzillas, that this would
Mhm.
slot in quite well, and
Yeah.
you could just have Monster Fest on your shelf. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's like
I think the
perfect
only other people to
tokusatsu
make a
stuff.
Pulgasari figure are Mondo because they have a soft
Yeah,
vinyl version of him, as
yeah.
well.
I love it. I think it's such a fun design of a creature.
Yeah,
Here's
it's
the
super cool.
artwork. Oh, such
Mhm.
great stuff. This is the
Matt
box
Frank is a
art.
legend.
Mhm. And so, I mean, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
Did he do any of the artwork for you all or no?
No, we've not worked with him, but I would like
Okay.
to. He's a really cool, really talented guy.
Didn't you have Art Adams work on something?
He worked on the
Oh,
Dark Horse
he
figure for Comic-Con
and
last year,
that's right.
and so
That
we
that was
kinda
based on.
collaborated with him a little bit.
That's right. So that's the box art, but like in true monster fashion, there are variants that
Nice.
don't
There's
have to
a
make
nice
sense.
Scooby. Yeah. That's
Yep.
cool. Oh, you can see
Don't.
the guy's eyes in there? Is that what that is?
Yep.
That's cool.
Oh, I don't know that it's meant to be like the
Him or
human
yeah,
actors, but you
yeah,
can see
that's
it has
cool.
eyes.
That's
And
cool.
then other variants.
Yeah, that
This
so the
yeah,
Mondo one I have is the red and gold like that. So
5 different paint apps that will be available, limited to 200 pieces. Good
cool.
luck. This is one of those things where I'm just a window shopper enjoying, and
Sure.
this is the, oh, look, it's all down, but,
Yeah.
see, North Korea heard us,
That's right.
and then no, no, I just wanted to
Yeah.
show folks, like,
Yeah. That's fun.
what that looked like. So, sorry. Love it.
Okay. Rick Jones is corroborating my story. It's a true story. Kidnapped Japanese filmmakers. So
Nice. It's true. It's all true. Wow. And then they were returned safely to Japan. Oh, wow.
that's good.
That's good that they returned. That's wild that they were kidnapped.
Yeah.
Um, hey, all right. Um, Shifting gears
There you go.
because I do that a lot. Epic
Yeah.
Hacks, Boss Fight Studio has been sharing their hacks line for a while. There were the smaller ones, the Vitruvian hacks, and then they're doing their 6-inch line. As
Mhm.
far as I remember, it's only been the blanks and Red Sonja
Yep.
so far.
Mhm.
And so these are the Wave 1 assortment that they just announced. And this one that Robo posted totally caught my eye because
Yeah.
I love the Flash Gordon-y retro Buck Rogers stuff, right? Anything with a
Yeah.
bubble in space like
Yeah.
that,
Retro futurism is really cool.
sold.
Yeah.
Cool character. She's like a freelance. I forget what the word peacekeeper. I forget what they.
Mhm.
I'll look at it something, but like here doing freelance. Yeah, Roxy London is a daring freelance peacekeeper with a grudge against all space pirates, as one should is wont to do. But look at that. Look at that.
That's
That's
super cool.
yeah. That is like even pre-Jetsons era sci-fi
Yeah.
stuff. That's straight up Flash
Little
Gordon,
Barry
Buck Rogers,
Rocketeer here.
the serials, comics, yeah, and a gun. So I'm excited about these. Have you seen any of the prototypes in the wild ever, or like at a con or something?
I think I saw the Red Sonja at San Diego
Okay.
Comic-Con, which was cool.
And I ask only because I've heard like different things, but my understanding is they're on the smaller end of, or maybe the truer end of 112.
I mean,
Um,
it was by itself, so it's kind of hard to judge.
okay.
And it was in passing.
Which would be
Uh,
good because it would save me some money because I tend to lean on the like Mythic Legions
sure.
and above kind of thing. Um, hence some of the ultimate stuff that I have.
Yeah.
But they look great. And it's a weird, like a good weird, like my kind of weird uh
Yeah.
assortment of characters.
I mean,
Right.
I'm in for the Spartan for sure.
Yeah, and she looks great. And then I love this. They made Dave Navarro from Jane's Addiction. No, I think it looks good.
That's
Oh, they
cool.
got beat up Dave too. No, but I love the what's going on in terms of the design
There's
of
a
the
little bit of Danny
characters
Trejo in there, in that alternate
in
head.
this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that too. But it's a lot of cool things happening, and
Yeah.
it's interesting that they're just like we're gonna jump around sort of genres.
Try it.
I don't know if there's like lore associated or they're just like rule of cool. Let's make cool stuff and see if people bite kind of thing. But kind of need to see more things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you get 2 of those. There's, Athena's bodyguards.
That's
not that she
trick.
needs them, but
and that's really. The cool thing about these is like the different portraits, like essentially they're different characters, and so the push to be like, you're gonna need more than one. Like, look at this. This is this is awesome.
Cool. That's rad.
Like you got 2 different aliens plus this sort of very cool. Love everything. I love the blasters, and so those are fun to see. Part of me does want them to be smaller so that maybe I don't get them, but they're all here available for you for purchase. $40 price point.
Bad.
So yeah,
very cool.
Shifting gears, let's talk about a custom.
There you go.
Were you a comic book guy at all?
Yeah, big time.
Not really. Okay. So so was I, and as I've established, I'm on the older spectrum of the nerd, and so this was my Callisto, and maybe even more gender neutral. I would say Callisto was like what I grew up with. She's definitely a lot more femme based on the figure that this was built on, but I think it's a great looking Callisto. Like this is the one. This whole style, this whole vibe is what I remember. Here, Allison, here's your beginnings of a Joan Jett.
Right.
But I think it's such a great custom by Phoenix Force Creations, who's done a lot of great women in particular. But
that's right.
Just wanted to share this because I think it's a rad figure. It's like Storm, right? I think it's which is apropos, because Storm beats Callisto in a fight.
Yeah.
To take control of the Morlocks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, they were
did you like the Callisto in the 5-pack, the Wolverine 5-pack a year or 2 ago?
It was okay. Again, I felt like that one was a little bit leaned more on newer sort of versions and renderings of the character. But I am also like I love the customizing community, and when they're like, oh, there's a thing that I want that hasn't been made yet, let me make it. So I see these things. But I don't buy much Legends at all. I love the, speaking to the whole behind the scenes culture we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just looking all the work that's in.
It's almost a little bit of David Bowie to that head sculpt.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which is fun. Which we kind of talks about what you're talking about, a little more gender neutral, a little more androgynous.
Yep, androgynous.
That's cool.
It's cool. It's really good stuff, and I love
really
highlighting people's artwork in this. So I love it. Yeah, really push the Joan Jett thing. I'm for it too. And you can do like Joan Jett through the eras. I'll take her shaved head, older, all of it. She's such a badass.
Hell yeah.
But anyway, Callisto, there she goes. She's got the balisong butterfly knife too.
Super cool.
I think that's kind of all I really had for like nerdy things to look at. But I know you and I were going back to Brutal Realm. You and I were talking about some stuff, and you were like, I have thoughts. I'm just curious, when you saw the Brutal Realm thing, what was it that drew you to the line in general? Because I know you're like,
I mean, obviously I sort of pride myself on my heavy metal fandom and all things that are, keyed into that aesthetic. And seeing those, I was kind of like, man, like these feel like, if I could just make action figures, this is probably what I would do. Which I think is why it speaks to me so much.
Got it.
You don't even follow me? God damn.
I do. No, I don't know why that is. And
Sure.
No, for real. Look, check it out over here. I'm totally following the Enablers as well.
All right. Interesting.
I don't really understand what's going on with that, because that came up the other day too.
It was really just like their aesthetics really spoke to me, and it really felt like, oh man,
look,
like,
this says I'm following this
okay,
guy, so
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
It was
who are
really
you
just
again?
about like, yeah, that's right. It was really just like, oh man, like if I had something like that, like, you know, the time and resources to do something like this, it would probably look pretty similar. So I think that's why it spoke to me, especially like, well, I was gonna ask like, who's your favorite Brutal Realm figure?
Favorite man.
You have to pick one. Like I'm asking you to
Yeah.
kill your darlings here.
Jeez. Oh, that's so hard. I definitely the one that really sucked me in was Ogun or Ogun, however
Yeah.
it's pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it has to do with just like the uniqueness of that character in terms of like what we've seen, like that African inspired. The shield is dope, the armor set, the colors, all of that. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then there have been others, but even like Chief Mato, that like awesome looking character. But there have been other characters with sort of that you know Native American like blanket headdress, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was Ogun, if not the women, and so I'm really intrigued by how those are looking. But that's what I'll say.
Yeah.
How about you?
Crowman.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that's a Conan. Is it scratching some Conan in you?
Yeah. Conan in there. There's a little bit of like Nathan Explosion from Metalocalypse in there too, which is exciting. And then there's also a little bit of Danzig in there, and I think it just works. It's simple but effective, sort of like we were talking about earlier. You know, it's just good design. So
it's an archetype.
Yeah, totally.
Very much.
And it worked for me. So it was that, and then just seeing, you know, the excitement and all that stuff, and like, oh man, like all these bodies, like, all right, let's get in there. So I think I got everything except for the army builder.
Got it.
Things. So
well, then I know you were like, I've got some thoughts. Can we share that?
Yeah. Do you have it?
Yeah, there you go. I have it. So and I know we're in a thread with Jason and James, and you shared it with them too. You're like, hey, if you're gonna do creatures, how about a Minotaur?
Yeah, well, because that was the thing. I was like, all right, cool. Like wolf guy, cool. Panther guy, cool. Like monkey guy, awesome. Like, but there's an archetype of buff creatures, like animalistic characters in Greek mythology, which they're already pulling from in Athena. So I was like, just do a Minotaur, or a Minotaur.
Is that a thing?
Well, yeah, because he's named after King Minos of Crete. And so Minotaur, I think, is the way you're supposed to say it.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, so I don't know. I did a very quick. This is in Procreate, just a quick little draw over of the animal body. But then I put like the human hands on there, human feet, but he's got fur all over, and then just a quick little bull head, and then I gave him some sort of gladiator-ish armor type thing.
Yep. So good. Thinking like a toy maker, doing some parts reuse. I see what you did there.
Lot of
with
reuse
this, right?
here. Yep, exactly. There's that, and then there's also, you know, if you have to make a whole new bullhead, you may as well put some storytelling into it, which is why he's, you know, missing a horn, and you know he's got an eye. So like, what's the story there? And I don't know. I liked the idea of just like this dude, you know, using whatever he has around him, because he was, you know, either locked away, you know, the prince that never was, you know, the guy, like the prince who the king didn't want, and so he locks him in the labyrinth, and so he has to kind of makeshift the weapons that he has, and so that's what the anvil hammer is for. So I had called this guy Prince Minos. You know, he's named after the father who doesn't want him anymore, and seals him away in the labyrinth. But you know, it was very, very quick, and I did this while watching TV with my girl. We actually just watched this new show on Netflix called Chaos, which is a modern retelling of the Greek myths. And King Minos is in that show, and the Minotaur, so it was very thematically appropriate. So I was like,
that's like a star-studded cast.
Oh yeah, Jeff Goldblum is Zeus.
Yeah,
like it's great.
So, I got to check it out.
Honestly, he's kind of like, he's great, but the other characters are so much better than him. because it's a really cool modern retelling of like Orpheus and Eurydice, and Prometheus is in there, and like I'm a huge Greek mythology person. Like I'm the kid who read the Iliad for fun in high school. So
no, there's a lot of fun relationship stuff going on in there that I can imagine being done.
Yeah.
But this is really cool. I love the concept. I love just playing on their home. What are they calling it? I don't think they have a name for it, but the sort of like the I think there's been, because they're talking about it as potentially a different realm with the beasts. I forget. I think they've thrown out
Primal realm or whatever.
Yeah. But I love that. Like you said, there's a cat guy, there's the monkey, there's the what's the other one? The panther, monkey,
werewolf, and monkey.
Werewolf and the wolf. Yeah. So give us something that in between. And then I'm laughing here because Rick is like, that's exactly where my brain went in our thread.
For sure.
Because then I was like, what about the Man of War tour? Because and then I am a barbarian in a civilized world, and you got notes for you. But hey, that's a beautiful thing. I don't know how
I was trying to save parts is what I was really trying to do. So
E. McNeil loves this. Yes, this detail of the anvil hammer. Yeah, and Brian, I tried to read the Iliad after I graduated college. A few pages, and
Brian, I get it. Is because similar to Tolkien, like every single time a character shows up in the Iliad, they have to name all 15 of their titles in their names. Zeus, whose shield is thunder, whose word is lightning, whose grace is cloud, blah 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 blah, and it goes on, and then you get to see what they said, and then Athena, whose shield is wisdom, whose heart is gold, whose blah 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 blah, and then they say what they said, and you're like, oh my god, just
so and so, son of so and so.
Yeah, blah, blah, exactly. Blah.
Yep. One of the things that I hated the most, but both like I'm proud of myself for getting through it, was the Silmarillion. That took a long time because that is one of the
show version.
I prefer. I'm enjoying Rings of Power.
Me too.
Unlike many other people, some folks are like, give me a hard time in terms of how it's not Tolkien and blah blah blah. And I was like, well, yeah, whatever. So this is cool as far as like your work. So we've gotten to Super7 because you mentioned Procreate. Like, what's your workflow like when you are doing designs? Are you doing straight to digital? Are you?
I do like almost everything digital
that you draw on top of.
It sort of depends. Like if I know or I have an idea of what I think could work for reuse, I will take that drawing and then bring it in and then do stuff like that. Like, specifically like Cliff Burton shares almost, I think it's like 80% of his parts with the Lemmy figure from Ultimates. So I just took that figure, brought it in, added the jacket, that kind of stuff, and you figure out where your reuse parts are that way. Right. But yeah, everything's digital, just with the timelines that we have and all that and deadlines. There's no real way to do it traditionally. I only recently started teaching myself Procreate, which is why this is like not the best example. Like I've only been working in Procreate for maybe 3 months at this point.
It's actually not my favorite thing. I was a Photoshop person, and then getting into the selection to like all these, it's just not super intuitive, but I'm sure if that's what you know.
Yeah, totally. Easy. I mean, I definitely do everything in Photoshop, and I'm a big hotkeys guy. So I think a long time I struggled against Procreate because you have to like, I'm going to draw. Oh, time to erase. Click.
Right.
All right. Up. Time to go to this.
Yep.
And so for my birthday or anniversary, I don't remember, but my girl got me like a little hotkeys keyboard that's Bluetooth for Procreate, and it really helps.
That's cool.
Speed things up. And I also realized that like I probably would never do stuff for myself if I'm here at the desk, because I associate the desk and this room with work.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to be here. I don't want to work on things for myself in here. But if I can figure out a way to be in another room while we're watching TV, like hanging out, whatever, like, and sketch on stuff that way, like
iPad,
then I can be more productive. And it's been a huge, so I really struggled up against it for probably about 2 weeks. and then I just broke through. I did a couple side projects just to like learn how the thing. It's like, okay, I'm gonna learn this program with this project, and that's really the only way you have to learn. Like the only way you can learn, because I mean, I did Photoshop when I was in like 7th grade, and I remember really struggling with it then, and now it's second nature. But that's just how these new programs goes. You have to just be immersed and just learn it, because it's the only way.
Yeah. Huh. Fair enough. That's cool. It was just interesting to hear you say like, oh yeah, I did this in Procreate, which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, this was maybe half an hour's worth of work. Just watch during a show. It was just quick. I mean, symmetry tool, all that fun stuff is helpful, but it was pretty quick. This is very loose for me. Obviously, no color or anything like that.
Take the image of it, do the outlines, and then draw your thing. That's cool.
Exactly. Thanks, man.
I hope. I'm really excited to sort of see where it goes. I wonder how they would like do contests like that. Like, hey, just like, hey, folks, what do you want to see? And I think that would be kind of exciting. All right. Well, let's really quickly tell the folks about like the many things that you do. We've talked a lot about Super7, but we haven't talked a lot about the Enablers and the Toying Around channel.
Yeah. I'm a guest star. I show up once a month, hang out with the Enablers.
You've got official capital T, capital E status though.
I guess so. Yeah. I'm technically season 2 Enabler is what I've been called before. I remember it was like DesignerCon 2021 when we all met up for the first time. It was me and Yoko and Fred were what Kevin called recruits at that point. Like we weren't official yet. And I mean, I think he was just giving us a bunch of guff, but yeah. So I love hanging out with those guys. I love talking to those guys. It's a great time. There's a lot. I enjoy the positivity surrounding Kevin and his channel.
Absolutely.
For the most part, which is super fun. So I got a lot of stuff to open this Enabler, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, see, look, dude, you're third. You're third. Oh, Yoko, what's up? You're like above. Oh, maybe I opened up a. But that's cool. So Thursday nights, and it's like a
Thursday of every month. Yeah.
And it's kind of a crapshoot in terms of who's going to be on. Yeah.
It depends. We all have busy lives, but there's enough of us now that there's always a good. It's always a good time. Whether or not we're in there or not, like we all have such good energy with each other that it's always fun to check out and hang out. So
totally, and it's never not entertaining. It's always
we try to have it not suck. Yeah, it depends on I've been doing this with him for I don't know how many years now. It's kind of crazy to me how many times we can go over 4 hours. Like I guess I only talk to them like we have a group chat and stuff like that, but I really only get to talk to them like once a month, and so it just goes for forever. I'm tapping out in my old age as the youngest Enabler, I guess. But it's hard for me to go like 6 hours sometimes. That's a lot. So.
And you're also and I understand that. But what's funny is we're both West Coast, and I guess so is Yoko. So it's like I can't wrap my head around them being up at like 12, 1 o'clock, 2, 3 in the morning. Like, all right,
because they start at 9 for that,
right?
9 p.m.
And we're like, oh no, we got to start at 6.
Well, that's why I feel like kind of bad whenever I leave, but also not bad at all because it's a long time. So.
Your personal thing. See, I swear, here I'm going to follow again.
Okay.
Now it says following. Oh well, whatever.
Nice
As far as this is Chamba.
That is a Chamba art.
Yeah, that's a Chamba art.
I think what's going on something for that
on your personal IG? What is it? Just straight up like because I know you do
there's
like
toy stuff.
Shows
there's concert stuff. Like see, that's me and my friends at Powerwolf just on Thursday there up in LA. Shows and toy stuff. I'm starting to work. Like I said, I've started to do more personal work type stuff recently, so I'm going to start posting some more of that. So that pink flyer that said Early Moods up there shows some of the personal work I've been doing. I've been working with these bands. If you slide over, you can see one of the posters I worked on with them.
Ooh, look at that.
I did their pins, and then I got this poster printed this was for their record release party. So I just been doing stuff like this on the side, just
Awesome.
for a little more just self-fulfillment. It's always something I always wanted to do, because I love music merch, and posters specifically are a big thing for me, and t-shirts and pins and all. I just love this world, and I love being in it. And so it's been fun to like get to know these guys, and talk to bands that I really like, and hey, I think you should have more merch. And it's purely selfish, really. I'm just like, I want a cool Early Moods poster, so I'm gonna design one.
That's awesome. And you probably get to play with production stuff that you don't normally do. It's like,
yeah,
you guys need
I had to like
foil,
learn. Yeah, exactly. So I have a friend who does a lot of this kind of printing stuff, and he referred to me to this printer. And so I was talking to them, and I was like, okay, like, what do you need? And they're like, well, we need these things separated and blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
right.
How do I do that? And so I had to figure it out. I had to figure out how to separate stuff for foil printing and all that. So it was rad.
Yep. In my current line of work, we call that project-based learning.
There you go.
But yeah, that's how I learned all this stuff, man. Was like being a punk kid doing. I learned layout by like chopping up Xeroxes and doing a zine, and then later transitioned to Photoshop, and then whatever. And like that's what it's about. Like, oh, you have a project for this, client band. And you're like, cool. What can I learn in this process? Or like you said, the Procreate. And that's for the audience, or folks who are like, I see too many people saying I can't do this thing. It's like, no, you just do it. And if you don't have a client,
man,
make it up. That's what I always used to tell them. Just pretend you're working for so and so, even like an established brand. Create an ad for them, and then figure out the tools.
That's the thing, is like,
get you looking respectable.
Like, how do you? So they asked me for a photo for the like thumbnail, and I like sent them one, and they're like, we don't like that one. And so they went to like my personal Facebook and like found that. I was like, all right, sure.
Oh,
take that.
Okay.
From my anniversary at the Magic Castle.
Oh no. Okay, that's hilarious.
It's fine. They're very sweet ladies. That's a stream with the pink and yellow ranger on their YouTube channel.
That's awesome.
But so I don't just like metal. There's a Run the Jewels post in there too. I love Run the Jewels. So
no, yes, and I'm with you on a variety of music. That's what I love. This too. You get people making really cool things for you too. This is amazing.
A friend of mine had that commissioned by a very talented guy named Eddie, who runs Reality Breakdown.
Do you know who the artist is? Is it Eddie who did the art?
No, so that was done by my friend who commissioned it. It's a guy named Austin Haynes, or I think it's Austin Haynes Art on Instagram. Really, really talented caricaturist, and he's done some work for like Netflix and things like that. And he teaches at Laguna College of Art and Design as well.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic caricature. I love the exaggerated, exaggeration. We talked about the enablers, but then there's also this, who apparently I'm not following. Oh no, see, did you see it just changed? I didn't even click on it. That was weird. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So it's these folks. And then what else is that?
That's kind of it. I'll hop into other streams here and there. Like obviously our friend Jay will invite me, and we'll one day we're gonna go on that road trip that Ryan Dole wants us to go on, and I'll hang out with YHS guys and stuff, and just I try to pop in. I try and watch most stuff, because obviously like it's not rare that it's not common that the customer you're directly trying to sell to will just voice their opinions for free on YouTube. And so I try and watch all of that, and so I can understand what you guys are looking for. But at the same time, if you are polite and constructive, you are welcome to message me on Instagram and tell me what you think. Don't any amount of threatening will not be answered. So but if you're constructive and polite and all that stuff, I'm happy to discuss toys with everybody. So
well, you do have your fans. KJ says you are
one of them.
Yeah. To which I would respond racist, but that's okay. J Solo Arts just followed you on Insta. I was kidding.
Thank you, sir. Can't be racist.
Hey,
Mike's
Travis,
there too.
good to see you. Yeah, and then did I have a star? Yeah, so people did have questions, and I'm sorry if I missed some along the way. But so this
any you missed, feel free to message me politely.
And I feel like we kind of did answer some of this stuff, and I think that's it. Yeah.
Cool.
Hey man, thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I'm glad we finally got to connect other than just seeing each other on random Discords and chats and stuff. I love your work. I love your taste in music. I love that you're like, all of that stuff. I love to see it. So,
thanks, man.
All right. I don't really usually have like a great way to end this, but if no, I just really don't. So usually what I'll do is like, let me see this. I'll play some kind of music. And that like signals like, oh,
wrap it up, B. Yeah.
Sun's going down. They're big
real low.
Yeah, sun's getting real low. Thank you. See, I can't even pull off a reference. Hey man, thank you again, and thank you to everybody who dropped into the chat. Really appreciate you all for checking it out. If you are newish to the channel, do the whole subscribe thing, the like thing. It helps YouTube let people know that I exist.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and click this end stream, and we'll see how it ends, I think. And